Welcome to the Publish Creator Podcast, the show where books become brands and creators become CEOs. I'm your host, Rodney Washington, a book coach, brand strategist, and founder of the Published and Thriving movement. If you're an author, coach, or content creator with a book, or even just an idea, this podcast will show you how to turn it into a thriving offer, a loyal community, and a lasting legacy. Each week, I'll share real-world strategies, inspiring success stories, and behind-the-scenes coaching to help you build momentum, whether you're just publishing your first book or ready to expand into courses, memberships, and more. Because publishing isn't the end of the journey, it's the launch pad. Let's build your brand, multiply your impact, and create the freedom you deserve. Enjoy today's episode. Alrighty. So hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Publish Creator Podcast. I am super excited about today's interview because I am interviewing someone that I had on my wish list I would like to interview one day, which is Lulu.com. Now, for many of you who have been with me for a while, you know that I have always been a strong advocate of Lulu. I have been working with them since probably 2010 when I published my second book. So I'm very familiar with the platform. And when I launched the Coloring Book Creator back, in 2022, of course, Amazon, all of us use. But I also use Lulu as well. And it's something I've always encouraged my clients and my students and my members of my program to do. And for some, you might think, well, Amazon's the holy grail. This is where I should be. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a presence on Amazon, but it is not the only option out there. And there is a very viable option. But what we're going to talk about today is not the general conversation around putting your book up on Amazon and sort of set it and forget it and let it go. What I'm talking about today with Chelsea, my guest, Chelsea Bennett, my guest on the show today, is around how to be what I'm going to label is more strategic around the topic of using your book as a part of your product suite, as a part of your platform, and the options that Lulu give us to be able to do that. And that's what I really want, because I'm always talking about thinking beyond just the book, thinking about it from a branding perspective and the options that it gives us. And in my opinion, Lulu does that extremely well. So without going into any more of my personal take on it, first, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, Chelsea Bennett with Lulu. Chelsea, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourself and the company and what you think about the topic?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me, Rodney. Yes, as you said, I am Chelsea Bennett. I am Lulu's education and community manager. I've been with Lulu for about 8 years, but honestly, I don't even think you need me here. You are so well versed in what we do and how we do it, and such a great advocate for us. So thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, Lulu, our whole business is on print on demand. We really work on empowering authors and creators to not just look at your authorship as a hobby or as a one-off opportunity for you to write a book and then, as you said, set it and forget it. We really want you to approach it holistically and be able to create a sustainable business from it if that's something that's interesting to you. So we really have tried to put out a lot of resources and educational materials to help authors sort of make that shift in their mindset and also their approach to publishing, to understand that it can be a business if you can do it right. And if you really approach it as launching a business instead of just maybe launching one book, then as you said, the book can really just be a starting point for a really beautiful career in something that you're really passionate about. And so hopefully today I can shed some light on how to do that and how Lulu can help you make that dream become a reality.
That's fantastic. Yeah, as I said, that's how I really got started. I've always used the book as a part of my product suite. Maybe you want to call it my lead gen, whatever the case may be. And again, this is thinking outside the box. This is thinking a little differently. I don't want to say bigger, but think differently. And that's something I always encourage my members to do, is to think differently. How can I package what I do in a way that it generates income beyond the single one-off sale? Like I call it onesie-twosie sales. And that's how I've used it personally. As we talk today, I'll share some of the examples of how I've used Lulu and I want you to listen to this from the perspective of, well, okay, based on what Rodney and Chelsea are saying, well, how can I think differently about not just my book, but my overall business? how can I think differently? And then how can I partner with a company like Lulu as a resource to help me with fulfillment
Hmm.
of that vision? So what I encourage you listening, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening auditorially, this is how I want you to think about what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it. So today's topic is going to be turning your book into an experience, how Lulu supports multi-format author brands. So that's the focus of our interview today. So we're going to go right into it, talking about the book as an experience. Many of my listeners are coaches and creators and course builders. And I'll just share really quickly my story with Lulu and how I used it when I started a coloring group back in 2021. And part of what I did was I wanted a spiral bound book, which I knew Amazon didn't do. So that was, one the huge reason why I went with Lulu for this particular book. But I knew that the price point was going to be higher than what I felt that genre of audience would be willing to invest. So what I did was I created a membership program called My Coloring Club. And what I did was I created something kind of similar to what I would call a knitting circle, but it was with coloring. And what I did was I offered a membership where if they prepaid for a year, they would get the coloring book sent to them. So the book was a value add, not a standoff sale. And I had more people go for the 1 year plan where they got the book sent to them as opposed to those that went month to month,
Hmm.
interestingly enough. So that was a field test for me. So that's what I mean by an experience. Plus, with a virtual membership situation, people think, okay, well, we just get together on Zoom once a week. Well, having something physically sent to them in the mail makes it more tactile,
Hmm.
makes it more it makes it an experience. So for can you give us maybe some examples, Chelsea, of maybe some other people who have done something similar or how they've used your products to create, journals or whatever, to kind of do what I did?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Well, first of all, I'll say coloring books and then journals, planners, what we call low and no content products are very successful at Lulu. And so if you are watching this and you're thinking, wow, I'd love to publish something, but I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know how to get started, you can start with literally a blank interior and a notebook cover that has your branding on it. So it can be that entry level and that basic, and that's going to serve a couple of different purposes. I mean, like you said, Rodney, it can accompany something you're already doing. It can help with brand awareness. It can be just a way to delight your customers. So if you have some really high LTV clients, maybe you want to send them a care package at the end of the year and it has your notebook with your branding on it. And so then not only does that serve them, I don't know anyone who doesn't like a blank notebook, but it's great for them just jotting notes or working on their next project. But it's also a little mini billboard for you and your business anytime they take it out and are using it in public. So just something to think of there. If you are listening to this, you're not at the point yet where you have, a ton of content you want to put in a book, then maybe just doing something low and no content would be a good start. But we have a ton of folks who create courses and then we'll use Lulu to introduce that tactile, that physical part of it. And it can be great, as you said, to bundle. It's a nice little upsell. You can charge a bit more because you're offering this nice high quality product. And then I was thinking about this morning, but I also think it adds a level of accountability. Earlier this year, I signed up for a productivity email course. I didn't finish it. I think I did 1 day of it. I think there was a PDF download. The potential I left on the table with this, I'm sure, is insane. But I forgot about it. It gets buried in your inbox, and I think that there's definitely a place for PDF downloads. You know your audience and what they're receptive to. But if I would have gotten a hard copy of a book in the mail that went through all of those modules, that's a
Right.
lot harder to ignore. I mean, that's something that you can have on your desk, that you can put in your workspace around your house, and every time you walk by it, that triggers, oh, I need to be working on this, or let me re-engage with this content. It can also have more longevity. So that once you're kind of done with that notebook, you can put it on your bookshelf. And next time you go to approach a project or whatever, then you can look back and see how did I do it before? Was this successful? Was it not? So I think
Mhm.
that there are a myriad of ways to use a hard copy or a physical product that goes along with a course. I also think it can really help your users, your subscribers, your customers get more out of your content. So even if you just have a nonfiction book, creating something that will accompany it, that maybe after every chapter, you direct your students to go to the workbook and just reflect on the information that they learned.
Mhm.
How are you going to put this in practice? What really resonated with you? I've been hearing lately, a lot of people say if you want to learn something, the best way is to teach it. So maybe if you are trying to train a new framework or thought process or lifestyle, then maybe you can say after every module, how would you explain this to a friend so that your users can really understand it and they're making sure it's clear to them in a way that, I mean, helps them understand it, but then also that's kind of a cheeky way to be like, okay, well, now they can tell other people how they're using it as well. So I think that those are a couple really good examples of how to do that. And then, like you said, with your coloring club, just the value add of getting that physical product in the mail. And I think it can really add a lot of layers of just how to interact with your content and how to stay on a program or a methodology that you may be trying to introduce.
And I think to me personally, it makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah.
I think that to be able to, I just always found that interactivity of it, the combination, because we do everything online. And of course, keep in mind when I did what I did, it was during the pandemic. So we didn't have a lot of options to meet with people, face to face. So maybe it was a timing thing as well, but I could see why people jumped on that like they did because, again, maybe it was a timing thing because of what was happening at the time. But I just knew I wanted something physical. I didn't want it to all be digital. And you mentioned about the email course. Yes, you're right. We get complacent about it, or we just not even complacent about it. We just like, okay, well, I know it's there. I can always go back and dig it up and go look at it. But that having something on the desk, like staring you in the face, my book that I'm working on right now with Lulu is staring me in my face all the time. I keep it on my desk to remind me of what I've got to do to get that project out there. So there's
Yes.
something great about having that. And even if you're trying to get going and you're not even 100% certain yet, I say do at least the first example or the first prototype, if you want to call it that, and
Mhm.
have it there as a physical reminder that this is a project that you're working on if there's multiple components to it. And what I love about working with Lulu is that I was able to do that, and the book is beautiful. And what I did was, as a part of the marketing, the pre-marketing of it, is I did a group call where I actually did a drop down video on top of the book that I got from you all, and I went through the pages with them. So
Yes. Yeah.
so it got them excited about the project as well. So I'm telling you, there's all kinds of ways. You just got to think a little bit, just think different.
Yeah, and I also think, and I had to do this. I had published a book with Lulu, and it does seem like an overwhelming process, but
Mhm,
remind yourself that you can have fun with it. It can also be a
mhm,
really fun journey for you as a creator. And what
mhm,
you mentioned about sharing it with your audience is another thing we see a lot of folks do is like what you might call like writing in public or working on something in public. And then you have buy-in from your audience. They see you going through this process. Maybe you're inspiring them on another level. And then that could be a whole other content business for you. Like you have really mastered, Rodney, the publishing process. So you're working with people to help them do that. We see a lot of people who go through it. They kind of, get their stripes or pay their dues and learn the ins and outs. And then they're helping other people do it as well. So I know
mhm.
it can be overwhelming and you're like, well, how am I going to find a couple hours every day to work on this? But just think about it as A, it can be enjoyable. And then B, it can also open up another line of business for you as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's see here. Let's move on. So now let's talk about the different formats. But now, as I mentioned a moment ago, um, for that particular that project I did, my coloring club, I specifically wanted a spiral bound book, which
Yes.
is something that Amazon does not do. I
Mhm.
have found that with workbooks, activity related books, they appreciate a spiral bound book. So could you kind of give us some ideas about the different types of ways that we can, the different options we have for the production of the book, hardbound, softbound, color, all of that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. And I would also just say, Lulu, we have a great pricing calculator. And so you can go to this tool on our website. It's lulu.com/pricing. And you can see all of our formats, trim sizes that we have available. So we do coil bound, as you had mentioned. This is really a standout product set for Lulu. So if you are doing a workbook or a notebook planner, I mean, I love something that can lay flat because, like you said, having that tangible thing that you can really work in. And also, as you mentioned, everything is digital these days, and there's so many studies that have been done about the power of actually writing something down and your ability to recall that information, and kind of the connection that you have with that when you're writing something is it can be really helpful when you're working on a project. So coil bound is great for that lay flat functionality. We also do hardcover books, so we do case wrap and then dust jacket as well. So that can be really
Mhm.
beautiful if you are creating like a coffee table book or when you make a really high-end cookbook or photo book, that can be great. And then we do paperback, of course. We do comic books and magazines too. So we really run the gamut. So for any creators out there who are maybe you do something really highly aesthetic, or maybe you're into fashion or beauty or anything like that, maybe creating a quarterly zine or creating a
Mhm.
product type like that could be a really fun way for you to share your expertise and then kind of work in a subscription-based model as well.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and again, now I do want to address something that I know that you mentioned the pricing calculator, which I love. That's the first, that's my go-to. I keep that bookmarked because that's when I'm even researching an idea. I want to go in and put in, okay, if I have these many pages with this formatting and this color type and this paper choice, so on and so forth, what's that's going to run me? And because we are talking about print on demand, you're not ordering in bulk, the price point is going to be higher than if you were to order bulk. But again, this is print on demand. So we need to be, clear about that. Because the per unit pricing is going to be higher than if you had ordered bulk. First of all, you're not taking the risk by investing in a lot of books that you don't know for sure you can sell.
Right.
So by doing print on demand to begin with, it'll be, it's a way for you to field test what you're going to do. But the pricing that Lulu has on it is what actually inspired me to create bundles
Mhm.
around the books to absorb some of that cost. And that's what really sparked the idea. That's how my coloring club came out of it. So for those listening, if you go to the pricing calculator and you actually do that, you'll go, well, that's a little high. I mean, sometimes depending upon the book and the format and the size and all of that, the price is going to be higher, but this is where the bundling comes into play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where you can absorb that cost and make it position it as a value add as opposed to a standalone offer. So this is thinking, like I said, this is the recurring theme in this conversation, thinking differently. How can I create something around this so that the book is not the only thing that I'm selling? So have you had any other authors with the company that have done something kind of similar to what I've done with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we always like to tell our authors, listen, book sales are great, and I wish you all the book sales in the world. But really, the book can be a great leverage point for a lot of other opportunities for you. So, establishing yourself as an expert in your field, booking interviews, booking articles and bylines and things like this, speaking engagements, keynotes, even. We see authors do that all the time because when you have the book that you've written, you can literally say, I wrote the book on blank, your field, your expertise. And so it can be really helpful there. Also, like you said, this could be something that we have a lot of folks who are speakers and who want to be speakers and go on the speaking circuit. So maybe their book is, if you hire me as a speaker, then you get books for the audience. And then that can be a nice upsell as well. And then that's great for the audience because if you, and I know that you will, kill it as a speaker, then they're going to want to be able to look at your material and really lean into what you know and learn more than you can maybe share in an hour. So we see people doing that. Also, we have a lot of folks who are consultants on our platform, and they are using, hey, if you book an hour with me, get a free copy of my book. So that can be a really nice package as well. So a lot of folks that we see that are really successful on Lulu, they're seeing their book as an opportunity to do more, like you said, to bundle it, to package it. So maybe if you hire me as a speaker, you're getting free books. If you are hiring me to consult with your company, I'm giving you these free books. If you are hiring me for whatever project, this comes along with it. So then when they see your price tag, they're thinking, oh, wow, not only am I getting time with you, I am also getting this book. Or like you said, not only am I getting access to your community, but I'm getting this physical representation of that. So we do see a lot of people who build that around. And for Kickstarter campaigns, for Patreon, for subscription services, someone might say, oh, $100 a year or whatever your price point is, maybe that's a little bit high. But then when they are getting these perks of this community to rely on, this monthly accountability meeting, this mastermind group, and I'm getting this book or this workbook that's really going to help me get my money's worth, it can really help offset that in the customer's mind. And then we'd like to say you're moving from transaction based to relationship building, because they're not just buying the one-off book. You're able to say, okay, well, now you've joined my community. Now you're gonna have access to me, or you'll have access to this mastermind. We'll be checking in with each other, whatever. I mean, there are so many ways to add a print component to your business. And like you said, it just kind of takes thinking about, what does my audience want? What do I already create that really resonates with them? And what could I add that will really help them get the most out of my content?
Mhm. And I'll say, to add to that, Chelsea, is I, tell every single person, I don't care what platform you use, on the first couple of pages and definitely at the end of the book, put a QR code in there, because that
Yes.
QR code can send them wherever you want them to go, to your school community, to your social media. I recommend personally, in order to be able to maximize the opportunity and the experience, and also increase your income, is put a QR code in the book that sends them over to a community like the school platform, which I'm all in on.
Mhm.
And even it can be paid out the gate, or it can be on a 7-day trial. You can do a trial. And so not only if someone gets the book, or even someone even sees the book and they go, "Ooh, I like this," the QR code is in there. They can click on it, go over to, now you're getting them into your ecosystem, or send
Yeah.
them to a landing page and get them on your email list, and then send them over to school, wherever you want them to go. That's something that I honestly, I swear, I try to like go, please do, don't just send them to Amazon to go buy them.
Yes. Yeah, well, you're speaking our
Mm,
language. I mean, like the flywheel, right? So create a
yeah,
way for them to get to your website, to follow you. I mean, and when you are publishing your book, and one thing about Lulu that I think is really great is that you can update your content anytime. We don't charge for revision fees or anything like that. So if you decide, you know what, my social media is great, I don't want any more help there, I don't need that right now. Now I'm going to update my QR code to go to my website. Now I'm going to update my QR code to go to my email list. Because like you said, you want to get them in your ecosystem. This idea of owned versus rented land is something we talk about all the
yes,
time, because
yes.
selling on Amazon, like we said earlier, is great. We're not here to tell you not to sell on Amazon. Do it if it makes sense for you. Your audience is there. That's great. But when you sell on Amazon, you can't see who is buying your book. You see that you made a book sale, and that is hugely exciting, and we love that. But you can't see who bought it. So once you get them to your ecosystem, then you can say, oh, okay, I ran these ads on Facebook Market or Facebook, or
Mhm.
I did this interview on this podcast or whatever, and I saw sales from that. I saw on my website these people did that. And then you can build them into your email list. You can invite them to join your email list, and then you can remarket to them and ask them questions like, how did you hear about me? What did you think about my book? What could I do that would help you more with this content? And then, like I said, you're building that relationship instead of that one-off transaction, which we love to see, but there's so much more there that is left on the table if you aren't getting them into your ecosystem, like you had mentioned.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, I want to also kind of give another, I want this to be really inspirational for listeners. So I want to use some examples here. I recently interviewed on the last two episodes of the podcast a young man by the name of Josh Jenny, who did a Kickstarter campaign for his book. Yeah, I'll say his indie pub sort of, it's kind of sort of has an indie vibe, is very, very art related book.
Very cool
And
project.
he generated, now again, this is, all good marketing. He's a brilliant marketer, but he's generated over $202,000 in sales for his book and his calendar. That, guess who produced the book? Who's publishing the physical books? Lulu.
We are. I was like, don't bait and switch me, Rodney. It's us. I know. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's it. We love that. Kickstarter is something that we have seen so many people gravitate to, and getting $202,000 on a Kickstarter is just a tremendous amount. And obviously, like you said, he knows what he's doing. He's done his market research. He knows what his audience wanted, and he was able to give it to him. And his project is very cool. I checked it out after our last conversation. But I would also say if you are at a point where you want to try this out and you're thinking, well, I'm working on a budget or I can't afford all the things that I might need to make the best book possible, Kickstarter can be an amazing resource for you because you don't have to set your ask at $200,000. If you have the audience that is going to see you through, do it. That's great. But you can also do $1,000. You can also do $500. It doesn't have to be an insane amount of money, but like you were talking about earlier, doing print on demand is really great for proof of concept because you can create one, see how people receive it, see what people are interacting with online or in person, and then go from there. So it's the same with Kickstarter. You can do a Kickstarter for a small amount of money or whatever you think it's going to take for you to create your project, and then see if the market wants it. See if your audience is willing to put some money up front to help you create that project and bring it to life. So that's a great way to use crowdfunding to bring your book to life. But also, if you're doing something, that could be totally different that aligns with your business, creating a notebook or journal, coloring book calendar can be a great backer reward as well. That can kind of, again, like you said, bundling it into a tier that maybe is a little bit higher than an entry level tier. And then it can make people really excited and they can kind of come home with a great piece of your artwork and your content as well.
Since we're talking about Josh, he did ask me to ask one question. We talked about it. I don't think he asked me, but I thought I'd ask anyway, since we're thinking about it. He was curious if you guys are ever going to add posters, because this audience would love a poster. Would you think you'd ever add something like that to the product suite?
I would love to. Maybe we will. Our kind of, I would say, hurdle would be we have a global print network. So we have printers all across the world. So whenever we introduce a new product set or item, we have to make sure that every single one of those printers is going to be able to create it at the level that we need it to be. We really take pride in our quality. So we need all of our printers all around the world to be able to produce at a very high quality that product. So I wouldn't say we were never going to do it. We don't do it right now. But if we get enough Josh Jennings on the platform, then I'm sure we'll be looking into it quite heavily. But
Okay.
that is kind of the consideration that we have to make whenever we add a new product.
Yes. That's cool.
Is
Yeah.
can every single
Oh, I can't talk. Sorry about that. I kind of stuttered for a second. It's so funny. I've noticed your camera was starting to kind of freeze a little bit. Then I started sputtering like I'm freezing. I'm like, no, I'm actually talking. I just can't get it out of my mouth. Uh,
just
anyway,
take after me, it's okay.
oh, it's fine. So, and again, I'm going to link all of this in the show notes. So you can go take a look and listen to that two-part interview, and you can also check out what Josh did. Also, just for listeners, Josh really did soft cover. He did hard cover. I don't know if he did the what did you call it a second ago? The dust cover. I'm not sure if he did it on that level or not, but I know he did do hardcover. So he used basically almost everything, and he did digital. So he basically did
Mhm.
everything. And I don't recall for certain, so I don't hold me to this listener, that he did a comic book thing. Although he could, if he's not thinking about that, he could do a comic book type, offer too. So again, it's just having, with Kickstarter, all the different options available, to be able to offer yours and multi experiences. And again, this is all circling around what the topic of this podcast episode is about, which is bundling and creating experiences. So it's a great
Mhm.
example. All righty, so let's see here. Now, my next question I have for you is, and I don't know if this is something that you can actually do or can speak to, but I want to ask it in because it's something I'm seriously considering for my project I'm working on my book. Um, I personally would really like to look into licensing my work and
Mhm.
working with companies to be able to access that or to be able to work with them on a maybe on a larger scale. I guess similar to what Josh has done. Does Lulu have any? ideas or provisions or anything around? Has anyone ever used the company for the services in a licensing type of arrangement? If not, that's okay, but I thought I'd ask because I'm curious about that
Um,
myself.
Well, I'm sure. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking. I think the mailman is here, so she's letting me know. But for licensing, yeah, you can absolutely use Lulu to do that. And I think for the best recommendation I can give is just back for the proof of concept. So once you have your books or your product suite, and then you can kind of share that with whoever you want to work with. And then, if you want to publish something that is licensed, then you can absolutely do that. I mean, at Lulu, the author or creator keeps the copyright. So we'll never be involved in that. That's yours and that you can do what you want with it. But outside of that, I mean, I don't have any reasons why you couldn't do that. I mean, I think Lulu is a great opportunity for you to. We have a lot of people who will create collaborative projects on our platform. And then it's
Mhm,
really as simple as if you have the license for the company they're working with, you can put both logos on it or do things like that.
mhm,
We've also worked with a company called DropCap. This is more for international rights and marketing and things like that. So we do have some relationships with companies that can help you do that. Like your book, I know is based, or one of them is, pastries in Paris and from Paris
mhm,
with pastries. So if you wanted to translate that or take it to an international rights market, then we do have partners that can help you do things like that.
wonderful.
So that might be another consideration. But as
Okay.
far as the licensing piece goes, Lulu is not going to stand in your way with that. As long as you have the go ahead from the parties involved, you can publish that on our platform. You keep the copyright. So that's really more something I would encourage you to talk to an attorney or a copyright office or something like that about those legal things. But as long as you have the clear, then you are more than welcome to come and publish it on Lulu.
Perfect. Now, you did mention a moment ago that you do have printers all around the world that
I
you that,
do.
that you work with.
Yes.
And I want to talk about this just a little bit for those of the, I know you also have a distribution network. So you can publish your book through Lulu, but you can have it available on other platforms. I think Amazon is one of them. Can you speak to that a little bit, just for those who are really wanting to explore that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so for our print network, I think we have seven or possibly eight that we have around the world. So the UK, Canada, France, Australia, and several others. We have a map on our website. But so anytime you use Lulu, you are kind of tapping into a global print network. So whether your audience is local or global, we can get your books to those readers. And a couple great things about that are that wherever your book is going, it'll route to the printer closest to the destination. So that can help us negate some shipping times as well as shipping costs. So that can be a really great opportunity. And then, yes, we do distribute. So we have what we call retail distribution. And if your book is retail distribution eligible, so as you mentioned earlier, Amazon does not create coil bound books. They don't make those, so you cannot distribute a coil bound book through Amazon. However, if you go to our website, then you'll be able to see when you build your book in our pricing calculator, you'll see if it's distribution eligible or not. And I really encourage you to start there because then right out of the gate, you'll know if you need to change the trim size, if retail distribution is your end goal through Lulu. But yes, we distribute to Amazon. We also distribute to Ingram's catalog. So in the US and maybe around the world through different brands, Ingram is the biggest wholesaler. So if you want your book to be in a library or bookstores, it's a good idea to have it on Ingram's catalog. If you are working with a local bookstore, then maybe you have a relationship with them where they're willing to do a consignment agreement with you directly, and then that's great. But you might approach a library or a bookstore and they say, we only buy from Ingram's catalog. And then if you go into retail distribution with Lulu, then you can say, great, here's the title of it. You can look it up on Ingram. And they have all those wholesale discounts already baked in. So it can be really approachable for
Mhm.
bookstores and libraries. So yeah, that's a great option for you. I mean, we encourage our authors to put your books wherever your readers are. So we have our own bookstore that you can sell through. We also distribute through Amazon and Ingram, as we said. And then we have what we call Lulu Direct. So this is a way for you to sell your books through your own website. You just we integrate right now with Shopify, Wix, and WooCommerce. So if you have one of those, you just plug in with our integration and then you can sell direct. You can also white label this. So if you want to look like you have your own publishing imprint, then no one has to know that Lulu is printing and fulfilling. You don't have to worry about inventory. So that can be a really great opportunity for you as well.
Wow, that's great. I learned
Yes.
something myself today. Wow, that's great.
It is, yeah. I mean, direct sales are something that we have really, I'll say gone bullish on since like 2017, because it really goes back to that autonomy. And as a creator, being able to make a sustainable business off of the content that you're creating, off of the books that you're selling. And what
Mhm.
goes with that is transparency into your business. So being able to see who's buying your books, being able to keep those conversations going. If you're using a platform like Amazon, or even if you're selling through Lulu's bookstore, oftentimes when you sell books, the payout is 30, 60, 90 days. When you have
Mhm.
your own website, and if it's powered by, an e-commerce platform, then they'll pay you out often in 24 to 48 hours. So
Mhm.
having access to that cash flow can really help you market smarter,
Yes.
reinvest in your business, potentially start that next book or project, launch your subscription. So
Yes.
it can really open up a lot of doors for you when you have that kind of liquidity, or rather access to that financial, the
Yes.
financial aspect in a faster turnaround.
Yes, yes. And also too, what I love about that is that then Lulu can ship out the product. When I was in Asia a couple of years ago, I sold a mini course, a mini training that I did. I called it a virtual retreat, and I created a book to accompany that training. And the persons that signed up for it, a couple of them lived in the UK. I was able to organize the book, put it up on Lulu. They paid me directly for access to the training. And then I just went into Lulu and ordered the book and had it shipped to them
Mhm.
directly in the UK. And now I know, because I found it interesting, the UK people would get their book like a day or two faster and a little bit cheaper than the US people did. And I said, they must have a printer, the
Yeah.
company in the UK.
Yeah, and I'll also say, I mean, that's a great example of, again, bundling the books and then sending out that tangible representation of your work. But I would also say we have a tool that we launched, I think about a year ago. It's called our order import tool. And with that, you're able to place multiple orders for multiple products at one time. So if you go through this scenario again and you have maybe a course or a cohort that you're doing, a mastermind, and you need to send out 10 copies of a book to 10 different people, you just upload a CSV file with that information and you can place all of them at once. So it can be a really great time saver. It's also great for if you're doing a book launch or a pre-sale or something like that. That can be a great time saver to utilize that. So yeah, maybe something to keep in mind if you do that again.
Can you can you tell us about that tool one more time? What's the name of that tool again?
Yeah, we call it our order import tool, and we have a lot. And Ronnie, I can send the links to this, but we have tutorials on how to use it. But essentially, you are just downloading a CSV file that has the different fields that we will need to process the order. So obviously, delivery address, name, and what the product is. And so you can put as many as you need to in there, and it can also be for multiple different products. So you just need the product ID. So you can upload this CSV file, and
Mhm.
at one time, you can place all of these orders, and then we'll go ahead and print and fulfill them and send them to the recipient.
Okay. You know what? Now that you're saying this, I'm fairly certain that I know that's what Josh is doing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, it's great. We actually created it because of Kickstarter. We have a great relationship with Kickstarter, but we see if you do a Kickstarter campaign or any crowdfunding campaign, then you're going to have a ton of different addresses, a ton of different backers, and a ton of maybe different products possibly. So we really kind of mirrored the information when you download that from Kickstarter, so it's easy to upload that to Lulu. So I hope that he is using it. I mean, it definitely is a time saver, but Kickstarter was really the inspiration behind that. So yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm positive that's what he's doing because I think I asked him that question. I said, well, because I know what I did. Mine was manual. And I was
Right.
like thinking, I says, how are you getting all of those? And he said, oh no, I'm doing this whole thing with Lulu directly. And I think he's working with a rep directly or something of that
Yes.
nature
Yeah.
because it is such a massive project.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. This is so exciting. Yes, please give me all the links to that so I can put all in the show
Yes.
notes so people can go check that out. But that's so cool. All righty here. So now we've talked about, well, we talked about tools. So, does Lulu offer any additional tools besides the pricing calculator, besides the tool you just mentioned a second ago? Are there any other tools or anything that Lulu offers that can just help with the overwhelm of it, besides taking my course or working with me directly? I'm just saying. But
Yes. Outside of working with Rodney, then we do have some tools for you. So, yeah, again, I mean, so the pricing calculator, when you start there, you're going to be able to build your book. And there's like a little interactive graphic that'll sort of be building the book as you pick your trim size, your page count, if you want black and white versus color, all that good stuff, matte versus gloss finish. And then once you built the book, you can download templates. So if you are working with a designer or if you aren't, this is a great place to start because we get a lot of folks who will maybe you're writing your book or you're making it in Canva or you're making it in Microsoft Word. And then when you come to upload it, it's not the right trim size. So you have to be considerate or thinking about the trim size and the final size of what the book will be. If you download these templates, they'll be to spec of the information you put in. So if you're making a 6x9, then we'll give you an interior file and a cover file that's going to match that. So if you start there and you upload that to maybe you're using InDesign, Canva, whatever, then you know that when you export that as a PDF, it's going to be the right size. So that's a really good place to start. So a pricing calculator is great. Also on that page, you're going to be able to see your retail revenue. So if you sell through the Lulu bookstore, how much will you make? If you sell through our retail distributors, how much can you make? A little note there. Just keep in mind, every retail channel you go through is going to want their cut as well. So just something to think about. So don't, not as a discouragement, but as you're thinking about your budget and your bottom line, that's a good resource for you. You can also see direct sales, how much you can make. And then once you're in our platform and you're actually publishing your work, we also have a built-in cover creation tool. So again, if you're at the beginning of the process and you're thinking, I'm not sure yet what this will look like for me. I don't want to spend a ton of money on a cover designer or even on a Canva subscription to create a cover. Then using our cover designer, it mirrors Canva and its functionality. So you'll be familiar with that if you have used that tool, but it's just a free resource for you. We also have on our, and I'll send these links again, but on our tools and resources page, or maybe it's called tools, templates page, but guides and templates, but we have free interior files for notebooks. So if you think at the end of this year, I would love to just create a branded notebook to just send it out to my employees, my staff, my friends and family, my customers, then you can go to our guides and templates page, download either 100 or 200 page interiors. We have blank, dot, grid, and lined. We also have planner interiors for weekly, monthly planners as well. So you can download those and upload them for free, create your cover for free, and get in and out the door and have your notebooks, your branded collateral for an event, for end of the year gifts and things like that. So those are a couple of things I like to remind people of because those are just freebies that you can use to really create something special and to kind of get your feet wet, I would say, in the publishing process.
This is fantastic. Yes, send me all the links. And actually, what you've inspired me to do, I'm going to do a Lulu walkthrough video
Oh, amazing.
for my community. And so for those listening, if you aren't already, I'll have the link in the show notes. It's going to be at the top. It's called my Published Creator School Community. And I'm going to plan a video screen walkthrough of the things that Chelsea is talking about today. So you can actually see all of the things that she has and then the tutorials that I made to add to that because, this is amazing. I'm learning things I didn't. You kind of get tunnel vision. You go use your one thing that
Oh gosh, I know.
kind of
I
in and
know.
out. But yeah, that I did not know all of that. How did I not know that?
Well, I know. I mean, it's not something that we do try to talk about it. But like you said, I mean, a lot of people, when they hear of Lulu or by the time they hear of us, they already have an idea of what they want to do. Or maybe they're just thinking, I have this book that I want to create. And so maybe you're not looking at it as like a place to kind of play around. But it's an amazing opportunity to do that. And because we are print on demand, this goes for any business line of ours that you use, any project that you create, you only have to buy one. So I used to kind of joke around and tell people you can go through the process and get one copy and think, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? And it can just be a fever dream that you put away in your drawer. You never have to think about it again. Or you can get it and think, okay, great. Like here's what I will say this will happen. You get it in the mail and you think, I wish I would have done this differently, or this could be a little bit better, or you just learn as you go. I mean, my favorite quote that I've heard since I've worked in this industry is, you don't know what you don't know. And it's like the tunnel vision that you say, it's like, you want to make a book, but do you know about ISBNs? Do you know about the copyright that you might need? Do you know how you're going to distribute it? Do you know how that
Mm,
affects your format choices? So there is
mm.
so much that goes into it. So if you do have the time to kind of start slow, then I think that that can be a great asset if you can do it that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. With my Parisian pastry adventure book that I just did, it's sort of like I said, I wasn't even planning to even sell this. It was just an idea that I had that I put together. And I think I ordered three different versions. I think I ordered a spiral bound version of it, but the first one I ordered was perfect bound. And immediately, because I don't care how much or how meticulous you think you are on the computer, until it's in your hand physically, you will go, how did I not see that? How did I not get,
It's
catch
so
that?
true. It's so true.
You just order, even if you actually do plan to sell it only digital, still order a physical copy.
Yes. Yeah. And I will say just
Mm,
a PSA proof copy. Give yourself enough time for the proof copy. And I mean, a little bit just about the nuts and bolts of print on demand. It'll take about 3 to 5 business days to make the book. And then I always like to tell people, give yourself like a week after that. I mean, there are different shipping levels. You could expedite it, but give yourself 2 weeks from when you order the book to when you get it so that you don't have to be stressed out about it. You're not up against a deadline. And then you can actually sit with it and look at it because, yeah, like you said, it's so different when you get, especially if it's your first time publishing. The proof copy is essential. If you want to sell a product, take the time to look through it. Maybe get a couple copies, give your friends copies to look through because they'll be able to see it in a
yep,
different way than you will.
yep,
Because when you put something out there, you want it to be representative of how that you're taking yourself seriously, that you care
yes.
about this content and that it means something to you. And so the people who are buying it know that and feel good about investing in it. And also, you want to give yourself the opportunity to find any mistakes and not have to go read a review that
Mhm.
says, "Oh, well, it would have been great, but there was a typo on the first page," or "I loved it, but the image wasn't high quality," or I mean, there's little things
Mhm.
that can really detract from a potential customer. So give yourself the time to get a proof copy and then actually look through it. Do yourself a favor and do that.
Yeah. Oh God. Yes. I cannot. I won't go into my horror story from years ago. I told Chelsea about privately. I'm not going down that. It took years of therapy to get past that. I'm just joking, but
But it can't. I mean, it's a dent on your bank account. I mean, we have again, Lulu's been around since 2002, and so we have just bukus of stories of people who it's exciting. And when you get to that moment where you hit
Mhm,
publish and order, it is
mhm,
so exciting, and I
mhm.
understand that fully. But you have to kind of check yourself and give yourself time because we have people who have bought hundreds of copies of a book that will just never see the light of day. It's used to prop up an uneven table now. It's under their couch. They're using it as step ups for their workout because they can never sell it because there was an error that they didn't, that they didn't
Yeah,
see
they
or
didn't
a
catch.
problem with it.
They
Yeah.
didn't catch. Now, I'm going to share this one little example of this to drive this home. It wasn't Lulu didn't print the book. This was someone who was a client colleague of mine that said that she had a client that ordered 5,000 copies of her booklet, and she was using it as as a marketing piece, and it was designed when she went out and did speaking gigs that she would hand these booklets out, and then it would have her information on the back. And her consultant told her, says, just get the first ones in just to kind of go through, make sure everything is okay or whatever. Says, oh no, they had such a great deal. I just went ahead and ordered 5,000 copies of the booklet. So she's got them. The phone number on the back of the booklet is off by one digit.
Oh God. It happens. Unfortunately, it does seem like whatever. Now I'm forgetting the name of the law when whatever goes wrong, Murphy's Law, I guess. But the larger quantity of books you order, the more chance there is for something to be wrong, I feel like. So yeah, I mean, you could just order one, make sure, and like I would just recommend ordering 2 or 3 and giving them to people who are not you, because when you are so close to the material, your brain will start to fill in what it's supposed to say, and so
Yep.
you may miss these things.
Yep.
But I'm sure that woman never made that mistake again.
No, it's a constant reminder in her garage every time she looks at those boxes.
Every time she's trying to fuel a fire or like build a, whatever in her furnace, then yeah, yeah. So we like it does happen. And you think it won't happen to you, but sometimes we don't get that lucky. So get the proof copy.
Absolutely. I do want to give the listeners a tip, though, that I personally like to do. So you should do this anyway. You're going to do this anyway if you're listening to this. Get on Lulu's mailing list like
Yes.
ASAP, because you guys send out an email almost every week with, I've gotten probably email every week this month with a different little discount coupon code for like,
Yes.
10% off or 15% off.
Mhm.
And so, again, just you should be on the email list anyway, just on general principle, aside the discount code. Let's just go there.
I
But
agree.
get on the list because like I said, when I was ordering my mock-ups, I used that code, to get a couple of bucks off when I was ordering those mock-ups. So
Yeah.
get on the email list. I'll have the link to do that too inside the show notes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, every week we put one out, and then I would also say around the holidays, we'll have our Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and all that good stuff going on too. So yeah, so if you are not signed up, now's a great time to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as a matter of fact, you're right. Because I did this book, I did the initial prototypes. I think I started in September and I started ordering like the mock-ups around like October, November into the holiday season. And I think at one point, I think you guys even did like up to 30% at one point. I was like
We
going,
did.
wow. I was
We did,
like,
and we may do it again. So sign up.
yeah,
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 sign up, get on their list now. Okay, so let me make sure I'm getting all the questions. Let's see here. So what tools? So you talked about tools, we talked about resources.
yeah.
Um, we pretty much covered everything that I really wanted to talk about. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you would recommend listeners do? Just maybe a couple of tips or whatever, just to kind of we've given them so much information and hopefully a lot of inspiration.
Mhm.
And I will say this, get on the website, sign up for lulu.com, get on the email list. I'll put the link in the price for the pricing calculator. I also recommend following Lulu on LinkedIn
Mm.
because and I'll share this one little thing, how this interview came to be was you all did, well, first of all, I saw an ad on Facebook
Mhm.
for Lulu, and you were specifically marketing how people who are in the travel arena use
Yes.
your services for books. And then I was on LinkedIn, which I'm far more active on now. And just so you all listening, I will be posting this on YouTube. It'll also be as a podcast, but I also will do an article based on this conversation, which will go on my newsletter, my Publish and Thriving newsletter on LinkedIn.
Rodney, you cannot stop. You're doing every piece of content is multiple pieces of content. You've cracked the code. You've
I'm
cracked the
doing
code, my
everything
friend.
I can besides, throwing over my shoulder and bringing like, come on, we're going to do this. Let's go. But anyone who works with me know if you sign up with me, if you show up and do the work, you're going to get that book in your hand. That's my commitment to you. So, but that post that I saw on the travel related topics, your campaigns are so brilliant. And I said, because I was so scared to approach you guys. I don't know why. I'm just crazy that way. But I saw that and I went, oh, that's my in.
And it worked.
So so I commented on the post and I said, hey, this is a link to my travel related book that I did with you all. And that's what opened the door to the conversation. So I'm saying this all to you all listening from a motivational perspective. Go and get involved in the communities and on the platforms with the vendors that you want to use because that'll be a great way. You never know what, can come out of it. Like I said, I was nervous about doing this. I don't know why. I really don't know why. I'm just crazy that way. But the point of the matter is that you could be one post away or one comment away on a post to a whole new world opening up to you. So from a marketing perspective, not from what can I get, but how can I contribute? Like I believe in this company so much. I wanted my users, my listeners to know more about you so that you can see it as an option. And I won't mention a name, but I had one of my clients, students, that did her book. She did it with Amazon, she did it with Lulu, and she did it with one other company, which I won't mention the name of, but it's considered a competitor. The worst experience was a competitor. Amazon, the books came back and they were never consistent in the quality of the book. The one she ended up going with was Lulu.
Yay. Well, we love stories like that. And let me just kind of, to your point about when you reached out to us, I also just kind of want to say your approach let us know that you knew our audience really well. So I will say we get pitches all the time. We have people that reach out to us on a daily basis that want to collab or want to work with us. And it doesn't, there are so many that we pass up because it's obvious to us that they don't understand what we're doing. They are maybe aren't using our platform well. They don't understand how to get the most use out of it. And then some of them obviously are just, they want some, they want something for free, or, we get a lot of Lululemon. I'd love to work with you. Send me some leggings. So, I mean, just people not doing their research. So I would say just as you approach a brand, any brand that you would like to work with, and it is kind of intimidating because it's, for a lot of times it's just a faceless company that you may know about, but you don't know a person there. So it can be intimidating, but I always really appreciate, and how to stand out is to make sure you understand their audience. So you saw our ad about travel. You knew that that's an audience we were trying to reach. You're obviously well versed in that. That's what your book was about. You've used Lulu. So your approach to us let us know that you understand our product and our platform. You understand the audience that we're trying to speak to, and you know how to use our platform to grow a business, which is the whole point that we were trying to make with that ad. So when you think about businesses that you may want to work with or collab with, think about that. Make it easy for them to say yes. Don't make them educate you on what they're doing. Somehow, through your pitch, let them understand that you understand what their product and platform is, their audience, and then let them know why it's going to benefit them. And you did all of those things, so it was just such a no-brainer for us to pursue this and want to have more conversations about it. So I just kind of wanted to add that note for anybody who's like, maybe there's a dream brand deal that you want and you're thinking about approaching them. Just know they're getting ads and pitches all day long about, can you send me this? Can we do this? Can we do this? So stand out by letting them know that you understand what they're doing and how you can work together and that it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll add a tip onto that, Chelsea. Thank you for saying that. And thank you for just confirming for me that I did it the way that I'm trying to always encourage my students and members to do it. Is whenever you're considering a collaboration opportunity, the goal should always be from the place of how can I help that company look better to
Mm-hmm.
their people
Mm-hmm.
that they're trying to reach, that they're trying to connect with. How can I not about what I'm getting out of it? I mean, I got what I wanted out of it just by the fact that I love when I look at this book and I got a quality product out of it that I can stand behind. And so when I saw that particular ad, I was like, there was no way I couldn't respond to it because I'm like, I'm looking at the evidence of it in my face. It's sort of looking at me right now. Let me hold it up. It's blurry, but anyway, you can't really see because I got the
Yes.
blur on. But the point I want to make is that I could not respond to it because I was in that ad's instance, I was the target audience,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know. And so by sharing that, and again, the company wants to know, well, are you familiar with the product?
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny when you said people were asking about leggings. I'm like, Lulu.
Yeah. Yes, yes. When I started at Lulu, I started out in our customer service department. This is like 8 years ago, and people would call us and be like, "I have leggings that I need to return." I'm like, "No, you don't. This is not like it's not." So I mean, yeah. So, but and that's just such a the eye roll. It's like an almost audible eye roll when I see these come into our PR inbox, and it's like, oh, like, and I'm like, you couldn't even take the time to find out if you're emailing the right company. And I mean, it happens all the time, and we get pitches that are just so it's like you're just wasting your time and hours by doing this. So yeah, but I can go back to just some things that I will kind of share at the end that may be helpful for folks. One thing that we did not touch on, but I did want to suggest or just kind of offer is a lot of folks will use Lulu at the end of the year to create calendars. I mean, that's a great additional revenue product at the end of the year. But at Lulu, we make it really easy for you to use it doesn't have to be a calendar, cookbook, whatever, as a fundraising tool. So as you're setting up a project, you can put in a nonprofit or whatever the organization is as a payee in the project. So maybe you say 10% of my revenue is going to go to this nonprofit or this organization, or maybe it could be 50, 100%. But I always like to remind folks of that because around the holidays, especially, in the time that we live in, pet influencers are a thing. Your pet can be more famous than you are. And we have
Yes.
a lot of people that have, Instagram accounts that are of their pets, and they'll make calendars from that content at the end of the year. And there's a couple, Ruben the Bulldog is one of them. And every year he raises money for Bullies to the Rescue, or different animal shelters. And so that's a great way for him to give back to his community. We have others. Pitbull Flower Power is another one. Amazing photographer Sophie Gamond photographs pit bulls in shelters and tries to get them adopted and get rid of the
Oh,
stigma that pit bulls have. I love her project so much. But she also donates proceeds to different animal shelters. We see people doing this with, cancer or, abuse, domestic violence shelters, things like this, educational programs, literacy, all kinds of things. So it can be really anything that's close to your heart. So if it makes sense for your brand, it can also be a great way for you to show your community what you care about, raise money for a good cause, and also highlight that as well. So I just kind of wanted to plug that because this time of year we see so many people, really, really looking to give back to their communities. And you may not think it, but creating a community cookbook, creating a calendar, creating a little comic book or coloring book can be a really great way to share the wealth and shed some light on something that really matters to you.
that's a great idea and suggestion. I have one of my students. She published in a beautiful, beautiful a planner through you all last summer, and I worked together. Her brand and her message is all around rebuilding your life after being in a domestic violence situation.
Hmm. Hmm.
And she did incredibly beautiful book with Lulu. And if I remember correctly, it was Lulu. Yes, I think so. She did. Yes, she did. And so anyway, I didn't think about that she could use the position book as a fundraising
Hmm.
tool. I didn't think
Yeah.
about that for women
Yeah.
who need to have a safe place to go. One of the things that is a standout in the book is a checklist, a safety checklist. If you are in a situation where you need to get out and you don't know what to do, like how to prepare, to get, and I said, that's your lead magnet.
Hmm.
Let people know that if you're trying to leave or planning to leave, this is what you need to think about in order to get yourself ready to go.
Hmm.
And she is a social worker. So she lives in Canada. She works with people in those situations. So her book is so beautifully done. And I'm actually encouraging her to start a school community around it
Hmm.
and have those conversations. So a fundraiser would be use that book as a fundraiser, as a great way to bring funds in to help support, these women who are in the situation that they don't know where to go and how to get out. So that's that you made me think about that when you said that just now. I went, oh yeah, that would be a great tip for Allie. I'll tell her about that.
Yeah, and brings back to kind of how we started the conversation about bundling. Like if you say, hey, if you make this pledge or this donation or purchasing this calendar is going to go to this organization and you get the physical calendar as well. So I
Mhm.
just kind of wanted to call that out. But I'll share kind of just a few things that if you, and we hope that you obviously have been moved and inspired by this conversation, but just a couple of things to think about are start with the pricing calculator. I mean, you'll want to decide what your trim size is and what your format is. So you can kind of have that. If you are working with designers, formatting is something that can be quite a challenge for people. So if you are hiring that professional help, having your trim size is going to be really important as you have those conversations with here's the product I'm trying to make so they understand. I would also just say, think about your audience and who's going to buy the book because you may want to look at selling direct or having distribution channels in place. If you want to be through retail distribution, that'll kind of dictate or help you find the right trim size or format. And then another thing to think about is that Lulu, we accept PDF files. You will need two PDF files for your book. You will need one for your interior file and one for your cover file. And so, if you are working in any kind of, most programs will help you or will allow you to export your files as PDF files, but just be aware that that is what we accept. And then the last thing I'll say is we have free ISBNs, or you can bring your own. If you don't know what an ISBN is, then maybe you just don't need to think about that right now. But ISBNs are essential for retail distribution, so it's probably worth. We have a lot of articles and videos on what they are and how to use them. But if you are kind of at the beginning of this and you don't want to buy your own ISBNs, then you can use a free one from Lulu to get your project published and into retail distribution.
Wonderful. Glad you brought that up about the IS. And I was going to ask that question earlier, and I wasn't sure if it quite fit with the topic, but I'm glad
Yeah.
you brought it up. So thank you for me. a quick question about ISBN. If you all assign the ISBN, is Lulu mentioned as the company for the ISBN, or is it the person who's designing and creating the book is listed as
Yeah,
the
that's a
ISBN?
great question. And to be honest, if you are, you don't have to have an ISBN, especially for kind of the context we're talking about today. If you have a course that you're doing, if you're offering your book as a part of a bundle, you do not have to have an ISBN. An ISBN is only essential when you go into retail distribution. So you can sell your books through your own website, you can sell your books through the Lulu website without one. But if you want to go to Ingram or Amazon, you have to have that because that's going to let the retailers know how to categorize it and all that good stuff. But
Mhm.
if you get a free ISBN from Lulu, in the metadata, it will say Lulu is the publisher. That may or may not matter to you. There's some people who don't care. That's fine. But if you are looking again at as this, so my coloring club, if you're looking at this and you're like, I want this to be a business, I want it to be essentially my own imprint and publishing house, then you could buy a batch of ISBNs from Bowker in the
Right.
US, and then you buy 10 at a time, whatever. When you register them, you put My Coloring Club is the name on the imprint. So anything you publish with those ISBNs, when people Google it or search it, it's going to come up under your imprint. And then again, that kind of goes with like the white labeling I was mentioning earlier, where Lulu can still print and fulfill those books, but it's white labeled. So it's under your imprint, and no one really has to know how you're getting them fulfilled at the end of the day.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you for that level of clarity because I know that's a question
Sure.
that people have asked, and we've talked about that before. I know
Yeah.
Amazon does that too, where they can assign an
Hmm.
ISBN number too.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so yeah, so in the context of like I said, a planner possibly, or maybe a workbook that's in conjunction with a course or something like that, no, you really don't need an ISBN number. The only way you really need one is if you are looking at distribution to networks, retail networks and libraries and that kind of thing, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. So just so that level of clarity, because I think that would be a question people will ask, well, do I have to have an ISBN number for everything? You
Yeah.
don't. You don't.
You do not have to unless you're in retail distribution. If you go into retail distribution, every version of your book will need a different ISBN. So if you do paperback, hardcover, saddle stitch, whatever, each one of those will need its own ISBN. And if you find yourself wanting to go into retail distribution or needing an ISBN, please take the time to verse yourself in it because it's very persnickety. The information that you register your ISBN with is going to have to be the same everywhere you put that information. And I've seen people get across the finish line with their book and then it gets rejected from Amazon or Ingram because there's a discrepancy. I mean, it could be you have a capital letter on your middle initial on one place and not in the other. And that can
Mhm.
totally make you have to go back to square one. So again, for most people, you're probably not at this point yet, maybe, but just be thinking about if you do have to have an ISBN, there's a little bit more that's going to be involved than just slapping a number or a barcode on your book. So just full disclosure.
Absolutely. I just walked that experience myself very recently.
See,
Very
you're doing everything wrong so that other people don't have to. You're doing it so these others don't have to. But I mean, I know. I mean, it goes back to you don't know what you don't know. But the ISBNs and the metadata, it can be such a slog. But you just take the time to talk to people like Rodney, talk to people who have done it, and make sure. We always just recommend like if you register your own ISBNs or however you get them, have somewhere written down every single piece of metadata that you registered that with so that anytime you
Mhm.
have to repeat it, you can easily do it and it's uniform across the whole process because it can trip you up more than you might think.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I was literally both screens open, like, okay, 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 okay. I was like, what is going on? All I have to have is the number. I've got the
Right.
number. And it was like,
There's a lot more that goes
no,
into it.
no. If there's a dash, you got to have the dash. No, no, no. I was like, oh my God, what is going on?
Yeah, the ISBN and the metadata. I've seen a lot of good authors almost quit at that point when you get into it and you're like, oh my gosh, because it just seems like it wouldn't be as big of an issue as it is. But because it is just like inextricably connected to how retailers will see your book, how people will
Mhm.
search for it, how they'll find it, how it's categorized. So it has to be correct everywhere. So yeah, the PSA from Ronnie,
Oh
take
yeah,
your
yeah.
time to get it right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have a client that I'm working with right now who had already purchased her ISBN number before she hired me. And so this wasn't through a course. This was like a done for you service where I actually got the book processed, set up, the file set up, ready to upload. And she brought the ISBN number, and I thought, no problem. I'll just drop that puppy on the back of the thing and I'll upload it on the thing. And it was like, no, it's not correct. And I've got Balker open on one window, and I'm just like going, what is going on? And I was like, and it took about 4 or 5 tries. So I finally got, and I was like going, okay, am I losing my mind here? Like, it's the same number. What's the problem? Why is this not going?
Yes,
But
yeah,
there
I
was
think,
one, I think she had something in the title that I
yeah.
wasn't, that's what it was. It has to match perfectly with the way you registered it.
Yeah, I think that there are like maybe 11 or so pieces of information that your ISBN tells retailers. So every single one of them, and it's so funny because yeah, you put a comma here or you capitalize the and this part, but not
Yeah,
this part, and yeah,
yeah,
it'll
yeah.
they'll take you right back to square one for that stuff. So be
Yeah,
sure when
no,
you're looking into
the
it.
struggle is real, folks. So listen to what she's saying.
It is. I don't want to end on a downer note. I mean, but again, you can publish books very happily and keep your sanity without the ISBN. But
Yeah,
I always just like to mention that because that's something that I had no knowledge of before starting to work with Lulu and work with authors, and so just kind of trying to give you all the things that I've seen kind of make people stumble or get caught up. So just
yeah.
trying to share a little bit. Yeah.
Well, what I'll do is I'll wrap it up on this note. So this is my recommendation to listeners. First of all, before you decide anything as far as the actual book itself, because I know we want to jump right into the book. And of course, the book is the inspirational starting point. But for the context of this conversation, this is my recommendation. Get get a vision for what get a vision for what experience you want to create.
Mm.
Have your book idea, but get a vision for the experience you want to create because Lulu is a part of helping you get to bring that vision to life from a physical perspective, but it has to start with a vision first. So again, when I created my a book for my coloring club, I wanted to create an experience where people got together to color together. That was the initial name of it, was called Let's Color Together. That's what the initial name of the business was. And so that's what got started. And so I was building the vision around that. And then once I was clear about that, then I thought, oh, I'll do a book that members will get to go with the book. So then I designed the book knowing I was going to use Lulu to be the person to help me get the physical book done. So I would say listening, start with the vision first. What's the experience you want to create? How do you see yourself interacting with the people that you want to work with or support, whether it's through a membership, whether it's through a course, or whether it's through a live experience or a retreat or anything of that nature, or speaking from the stage, but get that vision first. Then, as you're working on the book, because Lulu is your printing partner
Mhm.
and far as helping you get the book physically in your hand. So while we've shared a lot of details about the tactile it's parts of putting the book together, don't get lost in that right now.
Mhm.
Start with the vision first, get clear about that first, because that's going to propel you when the challenges do come up with the physicality of putting the book together. Because I've had it with almost every single project, something. It's always been a little something that I've had to go back, and check. Um, yeah, so do that first. Then once you get that done, then start putting together your book. Like I said, you can work with me directly. I'll put my information in there, or you can join one of my programs and I can help you. I can help you map out that vision, flesh out that vision, and then know what to put in the book. Because also, too, I'm really big about this as well. The book should also be leading people back into your ecosystem by offering QR codes to bonus things that you offer, additional PDFs or things that you didn't put in the book or audios. One of my students actually developed her book and she did a Spotify playlist of music that people could listen to while they were coloring in her book.
Yes, I love that. I've seen somebody do that for a cookbook, but I think that's
Mhm.
yeah, that's a great idea. I love that idea.
You
Yeah.
know, it's just like, I'm serious. I'm so bullish on this because I believe it. And again, a lot of my inspiration that I get from my students. One of my other students, she did her book. It's all on women from Canada, where she's from, and particularly Black women from Canada who have done extraordinary things that many people don't know about. It was so funny when Christine and I started working together. She says sometimes people ask, are there Black people in Canada?
That's why we need her book. She has to publish it now.
So when she came in with her coloring book idea, her vision was she wanted to have a coloring page of these 10 women. One of them was her mom,
Mm.
by the by. She had a story, a little two-pager story written about who she was, who she is, or who she was. She had a word search page added to the book. So after you read the story, you could go do a word search puzzle to, kind of test what you read. Then she had pages with QR codes in it that linked to YouTube videos where you can watch more about this person's story.
Yes, I love that. I mean, I
Mhm.
think what you're saying about kind of knowing the vision and the goals, that's so, like you said, it's so important to have that
Mhm.
ironed out because yeah, then you can kind of have fun with, hopefully the goal and the ideation part is the fun part because you can think go as big as you want, as outside of the box that you want. I mean, because of the way that you can really pull in like multimedia elements. So putting
Mhm.
people to your YouTube channel and just thinking like ideally maybe you would love to have a podcast or maybe you would love to have a YouTube channel. And in that book, how can
Mhm.
the content of that book or the way people are interacting with that book kind of launch that endeavor or
Mhm.
invite people to join? Like you said, I mean, that's such a great idea. It's like, did you or this iconic woman from Canada you didn't know about? Now here's a video that you can watch and then or
Mhm.
join the community and let's continue the conversation. So I mean, the possibilities are just so endless. And like you've shared, so many people are doing it and sharing what they've done. And so inspiration is just a quick search away, and you can, glean so much from how other people have done it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, I just think it's brilliant. So I'll just say it, I'll wrap it with that is that, if you start with that first, and again, it'll motivate you, it'll help you to elevate the experience. Um, and then, like I said, if you choose Lulu as your printing partner with this, they do a beautiful job of it. And yeah, I think just go with that. Think about how can I create an experience, which is the topic of this conversation, and how can I partner with a company like Lulu to help me actually bring up either that whole vision to life or a piece of that vision to life, but in a very tactile way that people can walk away with. And nowadays, again, back in the day, you couldn't do this unless you did a print run.
Hmm. Yeah.
You just couldn't do this, which required sometimes thousands and thousands of dollars. Now you can do it one copy at a time, get it, check it, show it to people, and build up that enthusiasm for your project as you're building out the rest of the ecosystem. Because nothing beats walking into some place and handing them that, and they look at that and go, wow. I mean, it makes it real for you, and it makes it real for the people you want to partner with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody that I meet when I tell them what I do, everybody wants to write a book. Less than 10%, maybe less than 5% of those people ever will. So if you
Mhm.
are thinking about, if you're watching this podcast or you're listening to it, then there's something stirring in you. You want to create something. So go do it. I mean, how will it feel to not do it? That
Mhm.
maybe take if you're on the fence, then just imagine, a year from now or 2 years from now, if you never act on it, then how will that feel?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
yeah, like you said, it's when you have that book and it's just a representation that you did the thing, you took it seriously, you invested in yourself, and you created this. And it can build a legacy, it can build a business, and it can build self-esteem and confidence as well. So,
Mhm.
um, so yeah, go do it.
It can build community and it can build experiences for
Absolutely.
yourself. I mean,
Hmm.
I started this 3 years ago, and I meet with my group from 3 years ago. We meet every Tuesday from 3 years ago. They've long since done their books. That community and that conversation has changed everything for me to be able to do that. Because again, as writers or whatever, your genre is, if you're building in a vacuum, you don't really know how people are responding to your work. So it's more than about money and distribution, all that stuff. It's about connecting with the people that you're creating this. Your book in and of itself is an experience,
Mhm.
and it can really change your life if you think about it differently. If
Absolutely.
you
Listen
think,
to the man. He knows what he's talking about. I could have said it better, and you have the experience to back it up. So
thank you,
I
Chelsea, so
completely
much
agree.
for just joining me today. Thank you so much for all those wonderful insights that you gave my listeners. I so appreciate everyone at the Lulu team for what you have been able to do. I'm just honored that you all gave me the time to do this, and I know that listeners are going to get a lot of value out of this. So, um, Chelsea's gonna send over some links. I'm gonna put in my own things. It's gonna be a lot to look at here. Check it out. Take your time. Join the the published creator school community to stay in contact with me. And I would love to at some point have you back, Chelsea, and we can have another conversation at some point in the future.
Oh, good. Well, I would love that too. And just thank you so much for letting me be a part of your podcast and your journey. And it's you're doing some wonderful work over there. So we're just honored to be able to be a part of it. And it means a lot to us. And people like you are what make our platform work. So thank you so much, Rodney. And I hope that this is helpful.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. If you're listening to this, like I said, you can listen. If you're listening on the podcast, go check out the video if you wish, or if you're on YouTube, you want to listen, you can go over and do that too. And I'll also have the link to all of the other ways to connect with us if you prefer to read. Like I said, it's going to be on LinkedIn. And join my school community and let's chat and let's see how I can help you get one step closer to bringing that vision to life. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye,
Okay.
everybody.